Good morning, Cambridge. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I know the weather maybe the sun didn't come out, but you came here, and I'm excited to be here with you today. So let me start with our safe harbor statement, if you will, for all of these presentations. All the information presented today is shared under NDA. Please don't share, distribute, or copy any of this material. You're going to get a copy of this. It's being recorded. Welcome to our live stream friends from across North America. Some of you couldn't make it. I know that we ended up canceling Toronto, so we have a lot of the Toronto folks that have joined us because of weather. But I'm excited to be here. So let's kickstart this thing. So welcome to the Google Cloud North America Kickstart event for 2025. I'm excited to be here with you in beautiful, wintry Cambridge. Somebody asked me if I've been here before. My parents actually lived up in the New England area for about 4 years when I was in college. So I got to know Route 2 up through Boston. I got to learn some of the dialect here, go to Billerica. So it looks like Billerica to me, or Peabody. So I got to learn some of the lingo, if you will, while I was up here. But I'm excited to be here today. We've got a great event for you. So without further ado, my name is James Hardy. I'll be your host today. I'm the director for our strategic industry partner ecosystem and channel. And what that means is I've got a group of industry co-sale specialists. And I like to think of them as the last mile of sales execution between our field sales teams, our partners, and our customers. And so I'm privileged to lead that team. I've been here for about 5 years. I can tell you the word for today is amplify. And you are our amplification, if you will, vehicle out in the market. And so we have a power-packed agenda, so I'm going to kick right into it. If you look at the agenda, we're going to talk about a few things here. We're going to talk about what's new. I'm actually going to go into the how to pitch Google Cloud story, if you will. But again, amplify is the word. We want you to carry that communication out into the market. So we want you to know how we position it, if you will, in the market. We want you to position it when you're with us and when you're selling without us as well. We want you to know our AI story. So we're going to have somebody come up and talk about that. We're also going to do somebody with the data pitch as well as the security pitch. And again, amplification is the word today. And then we've actually got a great panel. We've got a local panel. We've got a field sales manager. We got a key account executive. And we have our director for our CE engineering team that's going to be here local. And we're going to have a good dialect around, if you will, how to work together. How do we grow the business together? How do we make it a win-win? Those kind of things. And then we've got our partner incentives team here to talk about partner incentives as well as our investment strategy. And so, and last but not least, this is all about relationships. And so we do have a guided networking event at the end of the day, and then we'll have lunch. And then hopefully, weather permitting, we'll all get to make it safely home and be with your families. So before we get started, I want to recognize our sponsors. And so we have Pythian, Deloitte, Slalom, Quantify, 66 Degrees, CDW, and PwC that have sponsored this event. Please join me in a warm round of applause for them sponsoring today. So, what's new? There's always something new at Google, but what's really new? I thought I'd start with this. Last week, we released our Q4 earnings report. I don't know if everybody had a chance to listen to the earnings call, but there's some great news. There's 3 things I want you to take away from this slide. First and foremost, we are the fastest growing cloud company on the planet. We're growing 30% year over year. What does that mean? It means we have momentum. We are taking share. We are winning the new workloads in this AI era, and we'll talk about what that means. The second thing I want you to take away, which you should really be excited about as our partners, is that we have a $93 billion backlog. What does that mean? We have customers that have committed $93 billion. They're on contract. They're committed to us for $93 billion, and they're just waiting to implement that technology. And I'm sure, raise your hand if you think you can help us. Great. We'd love you to lean in, help us, get those customers to implement the technology so that they can actually drive the outcomes that they're looking for. And then the third thing, which I thought was really one of the most exciting things, if you listen to the earnings call, I'm going to read this to you. Sundar Pichai, our CEO, here's what he had to say in the earnings report. He said, "We are building, testing, and launching products and models faster than ever. based on our differentiated full stack approach to AI innovation. Let me say that again. Based on our differentiated full stack approach to AI innovation. We're going to unpack that a little bit in the why pitches. So I hope that you can lean in there. But it's an exciting time. I think about what my fearless leader always tells me. He said, you know, James, 4 months ago, what we're selling now wasn't even on the truck to sell. And so if you look at our momentum in the marketplace, we're having to move really, really fast. And we need your help in accelerating, if you will, and making sure that we're taking that innovation and turning it into outcomes for our customers. So what are our goals today? We have 3 goals. Number 1, it's all about you. We want you to be the first to know all about our innovation, whether it be in data, security, AI. Who here has heard of Agent Space? Good. We're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth today. So we want you to be familiar with that. It's a subscription service that we have right now, and we'll go into details on what that is. But it's really important. We want you to be the first to know. Second, we want you to excel at being able to position Google in the marketplace. It's really important. There's a lot of competition out there. There's also some misinformation out there. We really want you to be able to effectively position Google Cloud and where we are in the market and where we're making impact in the market with our customers, especially industry relevant impact. And then lastly, it's all about enhancing partnerships. That's why we've got the guided network touring later today. We're going to spend some time together. We've got a lot of our sales leaders here, including myself. And we're excited to spend the time with you, and we want to make sure that we're connecting you to the field sales teams to drive the outcomes that our customers need. It's all about mutual success. We want to make it win-win. So let's start with our North America go-to-market priorities. We have 3. And as we shift this AI era, if you will, we need your help in accelerating growth through customer relevance. We've taken an industry-first approach. And you're going to see that in how our organization is aligned now. And I'll unpack that in the next slide. But we need you to help us take it that next mile to make it industry relevant. We want to meet the customers where they are. Second, we want to make no mistake about it. We are in an AI era. And we want to assert our leadership. People need to understand the Google story. They need to understand where we are innovating, how customers are adopting that technology to drive the outcomes that they're looking for, and how it's making a material difference in their business. And then lastly, all these sales plays, all these motions, we have to be able to execute at scale. And we can't do it without our great partners, you, the partners in the room. And so I'm really excited about these go-to-market priorities. I think they really hit home with where we need to go. And so let's talk about our North America field alignment. So in North America, you may have heard, I know it seems like, hey, they're changing something here at Google. Well, you don't want to stand still. So we're leaning into that industry-first approach. And so what we've done is we've got a strategic industries team. Well, we've had that before. We have 4 strategic industries. We have retail, financial services, healthcare, life sciences, and we have what we call TMEG, telco, media, entertainment, and gaming. And we've actually, in retail, we've gone all in. So now, if you're an enterprise customer in retail, before we only had roughly about 75 accounts that were in that strategic retail industry business. Now, 500 plus. I don't care what geography you're in. If you're in the US, you are now part of that strategic, if you will, retail industry business. So that's different. So now all the sales plays, all the motions, all the operational rigor, how we work with partners, et cetera, is all aligned there. Also, we didn't necessarily have all Fortune 1000 accounts in all of the strategic industries. Well, in financial services, healthcare, life sciences, and in TMEG, now we have all Fortune 1000 accounts. If you sit in that market and you're a Fortune 1000 customer, that's the demarcation. You are now part of those industry teams. And then we know we have some emerging industries. And so we still have our geos, and geos are extremely important to us. But within the geos, we're incubating some industries. So right here in the Boston area, biotech is huge, right? So it's part of the North team now. So within biotech, they may have some accounts beyond the geographical borders of the North, right? But they'll report into the North region. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Also, we have auto in North. In the South, we have logistics and energy. In the West, we have semiconductor and what we call strategic consumer platforms. And so those are the emerging industries. and there are leaders in those businesses. And so if you're not connected to those leaders and you have solutions in those areas and you're working in those areas, please make sure you get with your Google partner managers, and let's make sure that we get you connected up so that you can help drive impact there. And of course, we still have our regions. We've Canada, West, North, and South. Tons of customers in those segments, both some greenfield and some spenders. And then we also have a group called Strategic AI and ISV. And so we've put all those accounts together, whether you be an Anthropic or whether you be a Meta. All of those accounts are within this Strategic AI and ISV business. And so we can actually go to market the same way, and we see the same patterns. And so we can hopefully drive similar outcomes across the board and learn from one another. We still have our partner channel and our ecosystem, where we work with all of the GSIs, if you will, all of the solution SIs, all of our sell and service partners, as well as our ISVs. And then we have our startups business and our DA, or data analytics business. And so that is our North America field alignment, and this is how we've really approached the market with an industry-first lens. So what is our go-to-market approach in 2025? So it's grounded in these 6 horizontal solutions as a baseline, if you want to think of it. So you've got AI, DA, apps, infrastructure, security, as well as database. And we recognize each one of your organizations likely has solutions in one or more than one of these horizontal solutions, if you will. And we're counting on you to help make it industry relevant. So we want you to make sure that you're leaning in with us. You're running the sales motions that we have here, and then you're helping us make that, whether it be the use case or your solution, you're helping us make that industry relevant to our customers. And so why do Google sellers love partners? It really comes down to you help us win more and you help us grow faster. It's that simple. And Google's a data company, and so we've collected this data, and we've been looking at this data. And we know, and we're sharing this with the field sellers, because sometimes I know that sometimes you say, I don't want to, it's too early, but we know we win faster and we win more when we get partners engaged. And so the sellers know that there's a 1.7x win rate when they have partners engaged, and they know it's almost 2x growth on the accelerated consumption. And so it's really important that we get partners engaged earlier in the sales process, but we'd ask the same of you. Get us engaged as you're out hunting earlier in the sales process, because we want to make it a win-win, and we want to drive those outcomes for our customers. I mentioned today this is about you, and we really want to create alignment and synergy with you as our partners. And so we've got several folks coming up today, including myself, where we're going to give you kind of a why Google Cloud pitch. We're also going to unpack kind of why Google AI, why Google Data, why Google Security. And the intent is really for you to make this we're going to share this material with you, so you'll get a copy of it. And it's for you to take it out in the market and amplify, if you will. Make sure people understand the message on why Google Cloud, why Google AI, why Google Security. We're leading in a number of these areas, and I think it's important for everybody to stay aligned. So let me, again, set context here. 10 minutes. Hopefully I stay within a range there. I'm going to take you through the why Google Cloud story. So I don't know about you, but generative AI burst onto the scene last year. It's amazing how fast it came on. I've never seen anything faster. I've been in the tech world for over 30 years, and I've never seen anything faster burst onto the scene. We are in this new AI era, if you will, and it's changing how our customers work with us. There's a rise, at first there was a ton of experimentation within generative AI, but it's actually started to move into production. And you're seeing this rise where AI started kind of as a tool, and it's moving to this AI as a collaborator. Think of this as agentic AI. Has anybody heard of agentic AI? We're moving very quickly into that area. So when you think about customer agents, we've got a number of customers across all industries that are leveraging customer service agents, if you will, to help transform the customer experience. I'll go into a couple of examples here in a moment. Whether it's about employee productivity around the employee agents, we've got examples there. Creative agents, I've never seen anything like this, where we have the ability to actually create content with these creative agents. And so it's really changing the way companies and organizations operate. Data agents, being able to not only discover the data and surface the data, but action on the data. Really incredible. And then the code agents. If you've seen Google Code Assist, it's incredible to see what you're able to do with code completion. We've got great customer examples where they're actually enabling their developers to do code completion as well as code assist. And then security agents. There's billions of telemetry inputs coming in across the internet. And in order to keep your organization safe, it's really important to take advantage of these agents within security. And so, again, this is an era of AI agents, and it's moving from tools, if you will, to a collaborative experience with AI agents. So, as you can see, we've got a number of examples across every industry, whether you're in retail, healthcare, financial services, media and entertainment, telecom, manufacturing, logistics, or even in our technology and innovation area. We've got countless examples where customers are actually leaning into Google's AI capabilities, and they're transforming their businesses and how they operate. One example that I love to give out is Verizon. Verizon has one of the largest call centers on the planet. They've been working with us. Who here has heard of our customer engagement suite? You also may know it as CCAI. All right, starting to get some hands. All right, so they've been working with us in that area, if you will. And then they're really transforming how their customer agents work and how they service their customers. And so with our capabilities, they've been able to actually create basically an 85% call containment. What do I mean by that? When you call in, 85% of the calls are solved by one of these agents, if you will, one of these AI agents. And that's pretty incredible. Think about what that does from a bottom line perspective, and also think about what that does from a customer experience perspective. Now, it doesn't eliminate the need to get to an agent, but good news is when they do get to an agent, they've got customer service agents that actually enhance that experience. They know that now that they're closing that call successfully 30% faster. Again, agentic AI, this age of era of AI agents, they're taking full advantage of that. And we've got examples, like I said, we could go into a lot more of these examples across all these industries, whether you're Walmart, Wendy's, or doing drug discovery, or any one of these industries. I would encourage you to find somebody that's within one of those industries and have them walk you through a couple of these stories, because I think it will help as you are out in the market working with other customers that may be in one of these industries. All right. It all starts with how we meet our customers together. And our mission statement here at Google Cloud is basically to take every organization and accelerate their transformation with Google's leading AI-powered cloud technology. And it's super important that we work together on this mission, because the innovation is happening fast. And we need to make sure our customers understand what we're doing within that innovation and how it's applicable to them. Again, industry relevance is important. So, the good news is we didn't just start on this yesterday. We've been on this journey for over a decade. Why Google? Well, for a decade we've been on this. We've got great assets within our AI research lab. Who here has heard of Google DeepMind? Right? One of the pioneers in this space, if you will, within our research area. And so we've taken all of that capability within DeepMind, and so who here has heard of Gemini? Right? Gemini is one of our multimodal models, which is one of the first in the marketplace to be multimodal. And so we've created those capabilities, if you will, and then we've taken that and we've infused it. We have, I think, 7 products now with over 2 billion users on the planet. We also, I think there's 15 some odd that have 1 billion users or more. Within those 7 products, we've already infused Gemini. And so how our customers work, as whether they're at the office or how they play outside of the office, they're getting used to this technology and how it serves them and how they can leverage it in their daily lives. And so it is making huge impact across the board. So again, with Google DeepMind, whether we're building silicon with our TPUs or whether we're introducing new models like Gemini. We're continuing to innovate, and it's only going to get faster. What really makes us unique, remember that statement I read from Sundar earlier. We're the only AI company that has a full unified AI stack. I'm going to simplify it. In my simple mind, I think from the silicon, think some of the TPUs, all the way through the software and everything in between, we have a unified stack. It really differentiates us in the marketplace. How does it differentiate us? Well, if you're a developer and you want to deploy a model and test it against multiple models, guess what? You can use Vertex AI. And I can use a first-party model from Gemini or Imagen or Veo, or I can actually use a third-party from Anthropic, and I can plug those models in, or I can take an open-source model, and I can plug that in. And I'm looking for price performance generally, right? Because it has to be viable in the marketplace. It might be the fastest, but if it's not price performant, then it probably isn't going to solve the business problem that they're looking to drive at the customer. And so that's key. Again, Google invented our own TPUs, so from the silicon, again, all the way up the stack, all the way to the agents. And so on top, we've got these integrated Gemini assistants, AI application agents, and then again, Agent Space, which is our first subscription model, if you will, in this space. And you're going to see more about this later today when we get into the AI pitch. But it is game changing. And the innovation is happening fast. So if you want to test a model, you want to develop a model, you want to deploy a model, we've got the full stack, and nobody else does. So our strategy here at Google Cloud is to bring all of this innovation together and really deploy it across these 6 product lines. And so, and we want to be able to have our customers thrive in this AI era. And so what we're doing is we're infusing that into the infrastructure. We're infusing that into the developer environment. We're infusing that into data. So connecting data to AI is critical from a success perspective. Into security, most people know that we acquired Mandiant, but we've got the most comprehensive security suite on the planet. And we'll go into the security pitch here in a moment, but you'll see that when a customer's looking to Google, even if they're not using Google Cloud, we can protect the other clouds better than they can protect themselves. We've got a robust security suite. And so I implore you to take a look at that. And then around our agents and applications, again, we have that unique value stack, that integrated approach. And then within Google Workspace, we have over 3 billion users on the planet. We're taking that same technology that we have, whether we've infused it with Gemini, or whether we're protecting it from a security perspective, or we're running it at scale across the planet. And we're taking that same capability and we're bringing it to our customers. So that technology, that innovation, everything we've done across those product lines, we're providing that as part of Google Cloud to our enterprise customers in an industry relevant way. So I think it's crucial that we have this partner ecosystem. And today we have over 350 plus Gen AI partners as part of this ecosystem, if you will, that are trusted partners, and they're testing, if you will, and they're providing feedback to our product teams, if you will, as we innovate. And it's only continuing to grow at a rapid pace. And so I implore you, whether you're an ISV, whether you're a technology partner, whether you're a systems integrator, whoever you are, whether you're a regional SI, it doesn't matter. We want you as part of this journey with us, because this is how we make an impact with our customers. And again, we meet the customers where they are in a relevant way. So if you're in financial services, we want to bring that to market in a relevant way. Same thing goes for any other industry out there. And so I think I'm on cue. I think I've stayed to the 10 minutes. So hopefully you got a little bit of a perspective on why Google Cloud. Again, it was meant to be high level. We're in this new age of era of AI, and we want you on this journey with us. And again, you're super critical to our success. And so thank you for being here today. I'm going to actually welcome Alyssa Dwyer to the stage. Alyssa is our go-to-market specialist, and she's going to give you our AI pitch.
Excellent. Thank you. I assume I can use one of these. Can you guys hear me okay? Awesome. Let me get the lay of the land for a second here. So my name is Alyssa Dwyer. I'm an AI go-to-market specialist, and I support our ISV organization. It's a brand new team we started this year. And here to give you the AI pitch, but also to really just break down and simplify some of the concepts that we hear and see related to AI. Put it in context and help you understand like where our goals are in 2025. So to kick it off, before I get into the AI pitch, wanted to highlight this announcement that we're now including Gemini for Workspace and NotebookLM Plus in all of our workspace queues now for free. So really our goal is to simplify and provide ease of access to our AI tools for all of our customers. So what does that mean? It means you get all of the benefits of help me write this, or all of our next gen capabilities. And NotebookLM Plus is the big one, right? NotebookLM Plus, we'll get into it a little bit later. That basically gives you a personalized LLM that you can put all of your docs in and ask questions about. So the power of these tools is super strong and also really valuable. No one else is doing that in the market for free at like we have done with Gemini for Workspace. Really just like simplifying it, no package, no complicated sales cycle, right? We just want to give everyone seamless access to AI. So that's super exciting, and I think our customers are really resonating with that and excited to deploy it. And the goal is like, with Gemini for Workspace, it's important to know we don't keep your data, we don't train our models on your data. You're in control, you can turn on the features, you can turn them off, right? You're empowered to give your team access to these tools, and also they're SOC compliant, which it's the only tool, one of the only AI tools that meets that requirement. Okay, so let's get into the AI pitch. I think you're gonna hear some things you probably already heard before and things Google has been known for a while. But we're not new to the AI space, right? Google has both been a data company and an AI company from the beginning. You think about things like, how long has Smart Reply been in Gmail? That's AI. Photos, like if you use Google Photos, searching for people, that's AI that we've built years ago. So everyone's talking about AI now, but we've been building AI into the fabric of Google right from the inception. But let's talk about this last year. The advancements we've made in the last 12 months pale in comparison to some of the advancements that we've seen over the last 20 years, right? Like we started with Palm models that we launched them. We were in a position against OpenAI where, we weren't we weren't there yet. But as soon as we released Gemini, just a few months later, it was really clear that we had entered the scene and could now compete against all of the major models. And then we come to Q3, where we're the only one that has a 2 million context window, right? Like going from just like announcing a first model to then being at the forefront with the 2 million context window, I think like in just a short amount of time, we don't pause enough to realize like how much advancement really happened in that amount of time. And being in the field every day, that is one of our biggest differentiators. Like you can't do certain things without that context window. And so we see a lot of use cases and workloads, just because that is so critical and such a big deal. And then also things like Imagine, VO, NotebookLM, again, like when NotebookLM dropped and the podcast feature was released, the buzz was crazy because it's a real world application of an LLM that you get to control, and I think like it really shows the power of what AI can do. And then agent space, which we're going to talk a lot about, right? Like so, going from launching our first model to building a full-scale SaaS application around search and productivity in just a year is really impressive and important to highlight. So where do we see AI? Obviously, I think we might have seen a slide like this in every industry. Anyone in every industry can leverage AI in some capacity. So we see it, in media and entertainment, we see a lot of like content creation, right? In retail, we see like really advanced personalization. Healthcare and life sciences, like drug discovery and repurposing, right? Like any field that you work in, you can find really strong applications of AI, and they're not only in experimentation, but they're moving into production. Everyone in every company has a board initiative around AI. It is clear that if you want to talk to a customer about AI, if you want to have a conversation with a customer, you can find one related to AI because everybody cares about it. It's not though just enough to talk about it and have a seat at the table. Where we're really finding differentiation is connecting AI to value, and that's what the board cares about. So this slide is really just here to showcase like the opportunity is there, and we can go after it. So when you think about like practically how are customers thinking about AI, I think there's two big buckets. It's optimizing and then transforming. So when you look at the left, it's like automating manual tasks or processes, streamlining workflows. It's just taking what you already do today and making it better, easier, faster, simplifying the process and having less human touch. Like, we're not going to get rid of the human touch, but where can we make that more efficient? And then the exciting side is transform. How can AI help us do things that we've actually never been able to do before? So when you think about those two principles, like how does it come into practice? I have another side we're gonna double click into, and I know we kind of already, James already mentioned this, but like we have a unified stack, so you can do anything from building your own model, serving your own model on our hardware, to using our foundation models, building and fine-tuning a model, all the way up to fully built applications or more complete AI solutions like speech, translate, things that we've been building for a long time. And when you look at this, right, it really builds upon each other. You can start at the foundation layer of just core infrastructure. You can get access to any models and host them yourself. You can fine-tune, train, distill, serve models in a managed fashion on our platform. And then you can also do things like build your own agents. And then on the top, like I mentioned, like those are all the more complete solutions, right? So everything from build it yourself to just use it. The biggest thing, though, that I think is important to highlight today that we want to make sure everyone knows about is Agent Space. What is Agent Space? Agent Space is a productivity platform that gives federated access to employees of enterprise data across the enterprise. So think about combining Salesforce data, Confluence data, your workspace data, and being able to ask questions about it in a way that you only get the answers. When you ask a question, you only get answers on data that you have access to. And that's a really hard problem to solve. Before this came out, I was talking to probably 4 or 5 customers who were trying to solve this, and being able to manage identity and access controls is really, really hard. And so everyone is looking at improving access to their data for their employees and their productivity. And Agent Space is not just that, but also is a platform where you can, we talk a lot about agents, but like, what do agents mean? Agents mean AI that can do something on your behalf, right? And so it brings not only the data to one place, but it also is a place where you can kick off workflows, or you can kick off actions like taking time off, or opening a ticket, or creating an opportunity, right? Like if you can do all of that in one place and reduce the amount of hops of different systems, your teams will be more efficient. So I talked about this a little bit, but again, just to highlight, unified search experience brings AI innovation all in one place. So NotebookLM is also included. It's a multimodal system, and it centralizes your agents, like I already mentioned. The thing, if I actually, okay, let me skip to this slide for a second, and then I'm going to go back. So when you think about NotebookLM and Agent Space, I want you to think, like I mentioned before, NotebookLM is a personalized LLM. You have to know what data you want to upload or where the answer to your question might be. Think like you have a long brief, it's 50 pages. You know the answer to your question is in that brief, but you don't know where or you don't have time to distill it all down. You can purposefully put in that brief into NotebookLM and get your answers. With Agent Space, what you're doing is you're asking questions on all the data, and you might not know where it is, right? And so that is more of an experience where you want to ask questions, but you don't want to go find where the answer might be, right? And so I think that's important to call out, like where those differences lie. But let me back up a second here. So again, Agent Space has native connectors to pull in all this data, which makes it easy to connect it and keep the identity and access controls in place. So, we have connectors like Slack, Box, Drive, SharePoint, Confluence, Jira, and many more. And when you think about what I think about when I'm thinking about my customers, like what are the use cases for Agent Space? It really depends on the users at that organization. So I work with ISVs. ISVs have a lot of salespeople usually and a lot of engineers. So you'll see use cases in those two areas. If you're working with a marketing company, marketing will probably be a top use case, right? Like you want to look at the profile of users at a company and then think about what do they do on a day-to-day basis, and that is where you can position Agent Space to improve those tasks. So it can be anywhere in the organization, but you really want to be thinking about where are the bulk of that type of user in that company, like what do they do? And then you can see kind of like what are the relevant connectors for those types of users. So for sales, think Slack, Drive, Salesforce, right? But when you're talking about Eng, you might be thinking about like Jira and Confluence and things like that. GitHub. So again, right, like sales, software, marketing, we see use cases across all four of these. Spoke to this a little bit, right? But now that NotebookLM is part of enterprise, I think one easy way to get customers in the mind space of how to benefit from tools like Agent Space, especially, is just give them NotebookLM, get it in their hands. They'll start querying their information. They'll start figuring out what types of workflows these tools can be helpful for their role. And also, it turns really quickly into realizing like they don't want to have to upload these documents themselves. So there's a natural progression of talking about NotebookLM to customers and them wanting more of the unified experience. And so it lends itself really well. And then also, NotebookLM is part of Agent Space, and so they get to build off of the workflows that they've kind of already created. So NotebookLM Enterprise, again, think about that as a personalized LLM. You upload your own data. You know where the answer to the questions are. There's really no setup. You can just start using it. Then Agent Space Enterprise versus Agent Space Enterprise Plus. The biggest difference is really, if you think about Enterprise, it's just the search experience. And when you think about Enterprise Plus, it's the search experience plus the research agent and it is also it also has all the agent capabilities. So really the unique experience is Enterprise Plus. But if a customer is just looking for just a straight search platform, that's when you want to think about Enterprise. And yeah, go ahead.
How can partners get access to Agent Space? All that's out now is sign up for early access and you wait.
That is a good question I don't have the answer to.
James or someone?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, also, we've seen some of the stuff that's being brought out about the agent sort of capability of Agent Builder. Is there anything in the roadmap where you have an agent-to-agent interaction rather than a one-shot agent does something, gets a response?
inside agent space specifically.
Whether it's a sort of build on agent space or whether it's actually something that might be sort of an extension of that.
I don't know. I think, so I'll say this. I think like multi-layered agent approach is the direction, right? Like if you think about AI, where AI is right now and the simple use cases that people started with, it was like a chatbot, right? Or a summarization tool. And then the next advancement was, let's see if we can get an action, right? And then it was like a simple action, like pull this data or answer this question, right? But if you really want to have complex use cases, you need multiple agents to be able to go off and do different things. And so, yeah, I think like you will start to see multi-layered agent orchestration happening as people become more sophisticated around AI. So, anyway, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa. Alyssa, that was great. Thank you for doing that today. I don't know about you, but I actually have a great example on Notebook LM. I love to learn by podcasts. Does anybody else listen to podcasts? I encourage you to go create a Notebook LM, if you will. I actually had one of the folks on my team create one of these, and he plugged in all the agent space training material that we had, all the PDFs, all the material. And I created a quick 20-minute podcast and learned it was magic to me. And I think it really brought Notebook LM to life for me as a user. And to her point, it's my own personalized space. So I can drop any kind of content in there, and then I can ask questions and get to the relevant answer that I'm looking for. And so the podcast was awesome because that's how I learn. And so any kind of where you've got a lot of material and it's could be hours of reading, et cetera, you can actually drop it in there and have it just brief it down into 20 minutes or so. So great example. So next up, I think we have Jim Fairweather with us. And so Jim's one of our DA sales managers, and let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you. All right. This is me. I'm actually not a DA sales manager anymore. But I was last year, and I've joined a team with that's right. That's right. But I think that's why it makes me kind of qualified to be able to talk about this stuff. I'm now a leader on the AI team and work with Alyssa, and so some of these questions are really good ones. As far as like when can we get access? Soon. There's the demand we have seen for agent space is unlike anything I've seen. I've been at Google for almost 10 years now. It's unlike anything I've ever seen in my career too, even prior to Google. So we're trying to move as quickly as possible. We want to do it boldly. We want to do it responsibly. But I was just with a CTO of a ISV the other day, and they said, "This is what I've been trying to build for 3 years. You guys have done it." And so we need a lot of your help in that, selling it, implementing it, because that's what's going to make it work or not. So anyway, one thing I want to talk about is I had the privilege of going over to the MIT AI ML conference last week, and OpenAI was there, Liquid AI was there, Amazon was there, and they named the conference appropriately is the age of implementation. And when I look at this room, and when I see all our partners out here and the skill sets that you all have, we need you right now. This is a moment that we're going to be in this year, specifically in 2025, where people get left behind. This will be the year is either act now or you don't. Because back when we look at this in kind of 2023 and everyone, like it was the massive hype cycle where everybody was changing their domain name to .ai and everybody's trying to figure it out, right? And so the board said, hey, we need launch a product AI, change our domain name to AI. And IT saluted, they did the best they could, and they failed very, very quickly. One of the reasons was that is because their data was messed up. It was siloed. They either couldn't talk to it or it was garbage and it would talk garbage back to them and they didn't like that. And it was kind of sad. So what we have now, 2024, people started to get it, but what happened was that people were saying, okay, we failed fast, here's what we want to do. We would go and we would talk, and I'm sure you were in these rooms too, and you'd get to legal, and what would they say? No. And they like saying no anyway, right? But it's very easy to say no to AI. And so this year, I think it has been universally accepted that if you don't do AI now and you don't jump in, it is riskier for your business than jumping in. We all know that, what do people buy? Do they buy the fast, fancy thing? Not when you're signing multi-billion-dollar contracts or $100 million contracts. What do you buy? You buy safe. And so we have world-leading AI capabilities, but what we need to be able to do and what we need your help with is instilling confidence, trust, and credibility as we have these companies bet their future on us and with us. So I'll talk a little bit about kind of the data piece, and how we're trying to innovate. I think this speaks to this slide, a zillion logos on here and all that, and big numbers. But what we're seeing is it represents the massive demand that we're seeing for generative AI and how that's having an impact on the clients in the adoption, or the products and the adoption of the products that our clients have. So you'll see 400% usage growth for BigQuery migrations, and this 7 times year-over-year growth for LLM usage. And so what we're seeing at Google is that, specifically in BigQuery and with some of our data products, we're seeing that kind of ecosystem be the power. Some of our competitors, Databricks, Snowflake, who we also partner with, and I'm sure you folks partner with in some way, shape, or form, they're offering a lot of choice, but what we're seeing is that when you bring it all in and it's all in with Google, there is a unique experience that is different in the market. I was speaking with someone who is the chief ML expert at Cohere locally, and I was asking them, I said, hey, real talk, tell me what's good about our tools and what's not. What do you like? And there were some tools that they like specifically for machine learning that they were talking about. Hey, I kind of have a preference for this. But they said, but for you guys, if you have a client that's all in with BigQuery, they're using our LLMs, they're using some of our different data flows, they said it's magic and no one else has anything like it. So when you're telling our data story and you're talking to different clients, I would say you can stand tall on that. There are lots of marketing hype cycles that go on, and they will continue to go on. We have products that really work, and they really work well together in a differentiated way. And so Gartner recognized that as well. They don't always recognize this thing. In this case, they did, which we're grateful for. So I won't spend a ton of time on here, but they view us as a visionary. And so when we think about our strategy and how we launch this, data has to be part of the AI story. I think we all know that. The thing is, how do we help our clients do that? LLMs in themselves are not competitive differentiation. And you're seeing this happen as we launch new features, OpenAI launches new features and build new things into their LLMs. Building a wrapper around that, you're seeing some folks in the startup community get absolutely wiped out when they launch a new feature sometimes. Why? It's because they have a wrapper on top of whatever LLM. And there will be space for that, and there will be niches for that. But how we can help provide our clients with a moat for their business as things continue to change rapidly is getting their own data in order, the stuff that is proprietary to them that only they have, and being able to either use that, harness that and use that really well internally, or be able to monetize it and serve their end users. So we have a platform to do that now. And so again, you can stand tall with that. We have an ability to do it. We have an ability to kind of leapfrog a little bit. I think what we're seeing in AI and the promise of AI can be that we can take out some of the joyless data work. I think in the last couple of years, we've had data scientists that, they look at their percentage of time and like 70% of it is spent cleaning data, not doing what they got their big fancy degree to do, which is analyze it and make smart insights and business decisions. We're seeing now, this year, where we're going to be able to help those data scientists and leverage AI to clean up the data so we can use it for AI, which is really exciting. And for any data science person, they're overjoyed and have been waiting a long time for that. These data agents, and part of what Alyssa was talking about, this will be the year of the agent. It's not if, it's happening right now. Again, we're having a lot of conversations. We think Agent Space is going to be an awesome platform with which to do that. But again, there's a lot of different ways that clients can build agents. One of them is for their employees. One of the ways we can help our clients and serve them best is helping them serve their employees. It is, I would argue, harder than ever to attract and retain top talent right now. Because in my pocket, I have access to all the LLMs. There's so much I can do on my phone now, and what I don't want to have happen is that when I walk into work, I can't use any of those tools anymore. That's a terrible experience, because people are going to say, well, I could get it done twice as fast if I could just use what I want. And so we need to be able to accelerate our clients' employees to make sure that they can get work done quickly and leverage, the stuff that they have and the data that they have to provide unique value and keep and attract those that great talent. So I talked a little bit about this, but moving from the silos to this in unified intelligent platform, this is where we've seen the warehouse, we've seen the lake house, and now platform. And again, this is where I think we're going to be able to help clients leapfrog based on the tools and platforms that are available, providing choice, but also getting to move kind of up the stack for our clients. Now we're seeing so much more data being able to be used, multimodal, and things like that. And so it's good news on that. This is a big stack. They have a lot of lines for me to talk about on this. I'll maybe talk about a couple, but someone more qualified than me should be breaking this down for you on the technical piece. But again, what this is essentially trying to show is that we have everything from chips all the way to studios and Looker and visualizations on top. The stuff we're announcing with Looker and having that thing to be able to actually talk to your data, that's a thing this year. That's going to be built in with Looker. You're going to be able to have conversations with the data that you have. And again, democratizing insights for everybody. Because not everybody could look or ask the questions of the data that they needed. And so it's really exciting for anybody who's been on that forecast call or is trying to look at how we can, segment client data, segment clients where we should go attack from a sales standpoint, but also from how's your business running standpoint. And that's another really cool thing that we're going to be able to demo to customers, and we need your help to do it. This multimodal capability, again, is the video and text. That's a piece of the business, a piece of the enterprise that we haven't been able to see before. So you think about recordings that people have done on all hands and different things like that. We talk about we talk about Notebook LM. I was one of the founders of Notebook LM was at this MIT thing. He's an author. That's how this whole thing came about. He would, do a bunch of research, look at all these different, categories and books and try to consolidate them all. He had a friend in Google Labs and said, hey, we're building the thing you've always wanted. Do you want to come and join us? And he did, thank God. And it's such a great user experience. And again, that's what we're going to be able to bring and provide to the enterprise as well. We were talking about some use cases and how to do that. If you want to pump up, throw your LinkedIn resume in there. Oh man, this guy Jim Fairweather, so great. It's what I listen to every day going into the office. It gets rough sometimes. But the other thing that we have now with that too is that you can actually talk to it and interrupt it. So you can load in all your data and you can join the podcast. So if you haven't used, this is available now. You guys can, Notebook LM, just go in there and put your data in. But one of the things, and a funny story on this, is actually the moderators of the podcast didn't like that they were interrupting. So they actually had to do, he called it friendliness tuning, because of how the moderators were talking. So they've done the tuning. It's nicer now. You guys will enjoy it. But anyway, we're kind of moving past this yes, RAG and real time and stuff like that. But we're starting even now to get past that as we build these agents and can autonomously do work for us. So I love all of these. I think there's no coincidence that two of these are sports. I mean, F1 has taken off and has been absolutely incredible. And the McLaren team continues to do great work. But needing real-time data right away, you need it racing. It's like, winners and losers separated by milliseconds. MLB, I got to spend some time with them and their StatCast team last year. These folks, MLB and what you see at StatCast and show up on the TV screen is really phenomenal. And the reason why it's so phenomenal and they can do so many creative things is all their data is in one place. All their data is in BigQuery. And so it provides them this agility to do and test and try. And I think, again, that's what we need to deliver these enterprises. When you have everything in one place, it allows you to move fast. And this is a year you have to move fast or get left behind. In UPS, this is one where we're talking about predictive, and this was a specific example is on the risk management of kind of the real-time visibility of packages getting to where they need to be. So the thing between all of these is BigQuery, but also their need for real-time data and to be able to make decisions quickly and adjust on the fly, which they can do leveraging our platform. So data agents, I'm not going to keep talking about this. We've talked about this a lot, but this is very low-hanging fruit for what we can help our clients with, being able to talk to and build agents with the data we have. Again, needs to be grounded in their data, and that's the piece that will be that moat and will delight folks on the inside and then potentially monetize on the outside. So I'm going to keep going here. We've infused, when I was talking about how we serve kind of the data folks, we're serving them by infusing Gemini into BigQuery. And so you're able to build pipelines, we're able to analyze, you can design queries, automate the ops. This is what I think people will care most about. So as you're looking in this is the data folks are hungry and dying to have this. So I would focus on that as you're having those conversations. But this will be the year that we get to kind of break things in a really cool way. There will be a new way that is exciting for our clients to go to work and try, and it's going to take away a lot of that joyless work that people have had to do, and it's going to help us run faster. So that's what I have for today. Thanks for putting up with me. I hope you really enjoy the rest of the day, and I can't wait to see you in the field. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. That was great. Hopefully you picked up on some great things there. I think we have a great capability and story around our AI as well as our data, but none of it's really going to matter in these enterprise accounts if it's not secure. And so our next speaker, I'd like to welcome Jim Miller to the stage. He's going to talk about this robust security suite that I talked about, these capabilities that we have. Super important, and again, our customers need this, and whether they're using Google Cloud or not today, we can actually help them with what we have today. So, Jim.
Cool. All right. All right. Hi, everyone. Jim Miller, Cloud Security Architect here at Google. And before we get going, I want to ground us in why we are thinking about very, very carefully incident response and detection. A lot of talk about AI today, super bullish on all the incredible capability, but it can be used just like any technology for adversarial and negative effects as well. And so as state actors, malicious state actors, increase their AI capabilities, the sophistication of the threat is only going to increase. So what can we do with our customers to help match that moment? and help them mitigate that before we get to a critical point. So Google, known for a lot of things, right? YouTube, Gmail, search, obviously. One of the things that kind of goes under the radar is our core security capability. One of the reasons for that is we have a very, very wide attack surface, right? If you think about Gmail, we stop 100 million phishing attempts per day. From a device standpoint, like Android, Chromebooks, using Chrome browser, we're blocking, or defending 5 billion devices from a safe browsing perspective. And then from DDoS, our wide network, right, stopped about a year ago now, the largest DDoS attack in history, right? And so as we go and think about security, this is core to our mission, and we want to extend this capability to our customers. As we've worked with enterprises across the United States and across the globe, these things become universal, these problems become universal, which is, hey, as a security operator, I never have enough data, right? I'm making these really, really tough economic decisions and risk decisions of, is that log source worth it? Is it worth me increasing my spend on my current SIM? And then once I do get the data, or let's say I have the data, what am I looking for, right? Those threats are evolving. They're becoming more sophisticated. They're becoming harder and harder to find as these threat actors try to hide their activity. The other part is talent. Security professionals are expensive. For most organizations, it's not a core competency. It's just a cost factor of doing business. So how do we augment those folks to upskill them and drive less toil, less manual threat hunting? Good news, we've looked at those problems, right? And we're thinking very critically on how we can help that out, right? The first step is get all the data and get it very, very quickly into somewhere that we can take action on it. And then instead of having your traditional enterprise take on that very long task of understanding threat actors, understanding their, what we call TTPs, or their tactics and practices, right? We can deliver threat intelligence within SecOps so that they can take advantage of it immediately as it becomes available. And then, of course, AI. This is one of those killer use cases that we're really excited about. Infusing these products to make it easier to do threat hunting, investigation, and then detection, right? If we can automate that in a contextual base, we can really drive good outcomes from mitigating and remediating risk across our enterprises. So from a SecOps perspective, we're thinking about this as a unified way to address detection of threats, investigation, understanding what is happening to my industry and my business specifically, and then responding, right? We don't want to respond with a half-hearted response. We want to stop these threats. We want to put blockers in place. For a lot of organizations, that's very, very difficult. So as we look at that stack, let's dive into some key components of what makes SecOps different from other SIEMs, other SOARs, and other security capabilities in the market. First and foremost, it's this hyperscale infrastructure. At Google's scale, we can bring in not only a very, very low cost per unit in terms of gigabyte stored and gigabyte processed, but then the ingestion of that is quick from a network perspective, and then from a performance or compute perspective of looking for things, we can bring that planet scale performance and capability to our customers. So some great things here from a security practitioner's perspective is, by default, I get 12 months hot, right? And then I have options for kind of freezing that or archiving that data, but still having it on board to do quick remediation. And the other piece here that kind of goes under the radar is enabling up to 30,000 alerts. Obviously, no human can do that, but if we talk about the AI story, an AI-infused product can consume and take action on 30,000 alerts. It can see that needle through the haystack. So these organizations can build alerts, build rule sets that a human may not necessarily look at, but AI can. This is one of the most exciting things, and we'll go into this in a little bit more detail. But Google Threat Intelligence is a relatively new product offering and team within Google, but it's made up of really, really experienced organizations between Mandiant, VirusTotal, and Google Threat, which have been around for the better part of 15 years now and have a very, very good track record, an incredible track record of identifying threat actors, producing threat intelligence, and then protecting billions and billions of devices and people online for much over a decade now. And then the AI story is just beginning, but already security operations folks at enterprises are very, very excited on what they can do to reduce toil, reduce effort, reduce headaches, and get to the point quicker, which is, where are these threats in my network? Where are they in my environment? And what can I do as a response to remediate or mitigate that type of risk? And so I'll go through a couple ones that I really like here, right? The first is investigation. I want to ask questions to my SecOps platform in natural language, right? I don't want to create a SQL query or something like that. I just want to know, hey, how many of my laptops have this particular software installed that's vulnerable? I can say that, and then SecOps will create a query and look through my vast network and my vast environment to get that. Reduces toil. I don't have to be an expert at my query language. I can be a security expert and look for those things. And the other piece is playbooks, right? From a automated response capability, it takes a lot to develop. So this is the traditional, hey, I can develop code, I can develop templates, and have those playbooks ready for me. And I can do that based off of natural language. So I say, hey, as you find those laptops with that vulnerable software installed, let's uninstall it, right? Can you make a playbook for me? Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll go and create that, and then you can test it and implement that. So how will we differ? As you go to your customers and they may have an incumbent type of SIEM, where are we looking to compete against? And it's really these places here. And as Google is a data company, that is the first and foremost that we can really drive a lot of value for our customers. The main headache today is having that decision of how much data can I bring into my SIEM? Well, the cost per unit and the pricing model of SecOps is very, very easy. They're not going to have to be a security economic professor here. They can focus on being a threat hunter and being an incident responder, and the data collection becomes very straightforward. And then, of course, all these pieces from an investigation or response perspective are very important. And that key SOAR capability you may not see by default in a lot of SIEMs, but this is how we automate response. So, okay, great, I know there's a threat. I see it in my environment. What do I want to do about it? That response, those 3,300 integrations to take automated action really help mitigate the actual threat and protect customers. So moving forward, right, getting your hands on the product, getting a demo, right, understanding some customer stories. Happy to share these links, but if you want, download the white paper or watch some YouTube videos. It's out there for you. And of course, I can share more information with you after. And we kind of breezed over threat intelligence, but let's take a moment here to dive in and understand what that means, because I think from a mitigating that AI threat that I mentioned earlier, this is really important. So today, most threat intelligence vendors are limited, and a lot of are open source, right, and voluntarily sharing the data. And so you have limited visibility, or it's siloed to one industry or one geolocation. And then what typically happens is you get a new vulnerability, right? But how's that vulnerability being used? Is it impactful to me? I have a list of 1,000 vulnerabilities I'm monitoring in my network. What should I prioritize for my industry and my business? And the other piece too is we talk to our customers, and within the enterprise, threat intelligence isn't its own job. Usually it's a side job or it's a capability, a part of a security operations team. So as we go to address those problems, we've combined this new product offering, which is Google Threat Intelligence, and it's made up of 3 legacy organizations. The first is Mandiant. This has been a great investment. Their expertise and their deep research help us identify and attribute to specific threat actors, and you'll understand what threat actors would be targeting your business and your type of applications. We kind of triangulate that with VirusTotal data. Huge database of crowdsourced, open source data, and you get verdicts. And this is a very important term. If you think about a remote access toolkit or a RAT, many of those are malicious and that's easy to find. But what attackers will do is use legitimate software in order to do that. So how do I know if this particular software is malicious and known malware, or a common tool used in IT groups to help do customer support? So understanding what the intelligence community at large makes on these kind of judgmental decisions is really impactful to augment the data from Mandiant and augment the data that we get from our traditional Google Threat Intelligence, which again is we're predicting 5 billion devices and effectively a huge swath of the internet. So that attack surface gives us the ability to look across industry, geo, and augment that with VirusTotal and Mandiant. So we touched on a lot of those pieces, but the last piece here is the ease of leveraging Mandiant. So they are integrated with this product, and what you can offer to your customers is bring that Mandiant team on to upskill the enterprise team and the security team, and then even bring in the, what I'll say here is the last piece. There's a keyless, or it says turnkey, but really it's just an easy button to implement Google Threat Intelligence into SecOps. So there's a good fusion there from a customer perspective. And then, of course, what I'll say is it doesn't need to be SecOps. These are 2 distinct offerings. And so if a customer says, hey, I don't really want to go through the project of replacing my SIM, say, that, hey, that's okay. We can still bring a ton of good data, a ton of really curated information to help augment your current stack and your security operations center to meet that evolving threat, to meet that increasingly sophisticated threat. A little bit here about how, right? And so we talked about all those data sources. Those get distilled into our threat intelligence teams, and we have those threat hunters and those security folks developing curated contextual things, not only with AI, but with humans as well, so that customers have real trust and credibility that they can take action on that intelligence and automate off of that intelligence in terms of response. So as we think of this, it's really a full picture when we talk about SecOps, Google Threat Intelligence, and really defending against everything. So as you know, the main takeaway here, I won't go into every one, is for your traditional enterprise, we have that capability and we have that understanding of what it takes to have a comprehensive security operations program. And we want to make that easy. So it was a lot, right? The main takeaways here is it's a global evolving threat. We have global evolving presence from a threat detection capability, and then we can distill that down and make it actionable. So you talk about signal through the noise. This is really what SecOps is intended to do, and make it easy and reduce toil and reduce that manual workload on security operations teams around the world. So great, thank you. I'll be kicking around, and if you have questions, happy to chit-chat after.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. That was great. Listen, I hope you got a lot out of these why Google pitches, if you will. Again, the material is going to be shared out with you, so you'll be able to make it your own. But for our live stream audience, we're going to pause just for a couple minutes to get the stage set up, because we're going to bring up our locals and we're going to talk about how we work better together. So. Justin, you want to come on? All right, y'all figure out how you want to, maybe you want to sit in the same order. My summers were spent here, back during the Larry Bird and
Nice.
Celtic days.
Yeah. The Celtic days continue, I think.
Well, they won a championship just, what, a year ago?
Ben would know.
Feeling it. It's like first, it's your first
Ben, is he a big Celtics fan?
the summer round is like expanded.
Hey, Ben, you're not, are you here?
back,
Okay,
like,
okay. I didn't know if you were here or New York. Yeah, Gia had an offside. The weather. Okay, right. All right, we are back. Welcome back, live stream audience. Welcome back, our local viewers. And so we're going to get started. I have the pleasure of moderating this next session. And before we get started into the meat of the content, I always like to start with a quick introduction of everybody. And I'm going to ask each one of you to take a minute, introduce yourselves. Because I'm selfish, I'm going to add, as part of your introduction, I want you to add kind of either what's your favorite binge series, your binge watching series right now, or your favorite movie of all time. So, because I'm always trying to steal some material and just kind of make it a little fun. So we'll start with you, Jessalyn.
Okay, I wasn't prepared for that, but hi. I'm Jessalyn Hiltz. I'm a key account executive based here in Cambridge. I'm on my second stint here at Google. Been back for just over 7 years. And let's see. Well, it's not super recent, but there's a show called Dairy Girls, like Dairy Ireland, and I just laugh so hard. And I think we all need a lot of laughter in our life right now. And you have to use the subtitles because you will not understand it. So highly recommend that. My husband loved it too. So
Love that. All right, Ben, how about you?
Good morning, everybody. Ben LaValle. I lead the customer engineering function for the North region, which is New England, New York, and the upper Midwest. Been at Google about 14 years, and my current binge on Netflix is Ancient Apocalypse. Which, yeah.
I've not seen that one. I'll put that in
Well,
the
it's
drawer.
one of the themes of the show is that perhaps we don't know as much about early human history as we've been led to believe, and that in fact maybe there were some pretty advanced technologies, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago that were kind of lost to history. And we're talking about advanced technologies today, so find it relevant.
Thematic, I love it. All right, Kyle.
Kyle Merritt. I lead one of our Tech and ISV enterprise teams in the East. I'm a FSM. My favorite binge, this is kind of a bit of a throwback, but I will watch The Office any day, all day, whenever it's on, mid-episode, TBS, Comedy Central. I always watch it when I see it on TV.
Reruns and everything.
Reruns and everything. I've probably seen the whole series front to back 7 times.
Okay.
I'll put in a little plug for one of my favorite Google customers, Etsy. They sell these little TV boxes that are just preloaded with either The Office or The Simpsons, and it's like the whole series, and you just press a button and it just picks up wherever it left off, and you watch however long you want to watch. You press the button and it shuts back off. So shout out to Etsy.
They can take my money
amazing
now.
marketplace, and yeah, sorry
Fantastic.
for not helping with the binge watching thing.
All right, good. Well, hey, that's great because I get to add those to my list. I do watch all of The Offices as well, so I've got that in my repertoire. So anyway, so we talk a lot about getting partners involved earlier in the sales cycle. And so I'm going to direct this one to you, Jessalyn. What are your thoughts on getting partners involved earlier in the sales cycle? And what's the best practices on doing it?
My thoughts are that it's been instrumental to my success the past 7 years here and when I was at Oracle for 7 years too. And I think it's a win when after a meeting with a customer, they turn to me and say, I didn't know who worked for Google and I didn't know who worked for the partner. And I think you get to that status by bringing the partner in or having the partner bring you in as early as possible. And like, why does that matter? I think the customer is most successful when we have a unified front as a collective team and they're not thinking about, well, should I be talking to the partner about this or Google about this? So that's one thing I wanted to say. And it starts with when the Googlers and the partners kind of dismiss the notion of, I don't want to lose control of the deal, because we all feel that way. But I think if you can kind of push that aside and recognize if we work together, we're going to actually accelerate what we both want to get paid, right? And for the customer to be successful. Some best practices that I've seen to actually execute on this is number one, as soon as you're talking to a customer about a project, be talking about the partner ecosystem. That way, when you bring the partner or they bring you into the meeting, it's not like weird. It's right. You've been talking about it since day one. And some best practices to then actually execute are doing prep calls without the customer, right? So that when you go to that first joint meeting together, they don't feel like you're taking a step back. Instead, you're there to validate what one of you has heard and move the opportunity forward. But the most important thing that surprisingly I think has made us successful is when you have decided you're going to work together with a partner, start a chat space and have the Google team and the partner team. And of course, it allows you to interact more quickly. You're not waiting for the email. You're not waiting for the meeting. But the most effective thing is then when you're on the call with the customer, you have that private sidebar to make the most of the meeting. Because the last thing you want to do is have to have the next meeting with the customer and like you and the partner aren't in sync. So those are some of my keys to success.
I love that. Speed and alignment. Love that. So anything that either one of you want to add to that? I know, Ben, you run the CE team, so.
Yeah, I think being aligned on how a particular customer engagement or meeting is going to go, particularly early in the sales cycle, is really critical. So to Jessalyn's point, like making sure you know who's in the room, like over planning on some of those details, I think pays big dividends if you do it. And then the other thing for the partners in the room, I would say is just be really clear on like your sweet spot, right? Google will pull you in a million different directions and ask you to be everything to everyone. And it's kind of an unrealistic expectation, I think, in most cases. So the clearer that you can be on the role you want to play, how your company makes money in an engagement, what your incentives are, I think, full transparency with the Google team allows us to, work effectively together.
That's fantastic. Kyle, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just quickly, I think when partners get involved earlier, it just makes the cycle that much cleaner, right? Google's not doing discovery and then relaying discovery notes back to the partner's then not having to ask for clarity to the customer when they first get introduced. So I think from a customer perspective, the engagement is just so much cleaner. I think to just kind of triple down on some of the themes that Jessalyn and Ben just touched on, when there are clearly defined, hey, this is the outcome from this meeting that we both want, and here is the follow-up cadence that we will both execute on. Partner, you do this, Google will do that. I think when you're hyper clear together from the get-go, it just makes the engagement, again, thinking from the customer perspective, that much cleaner and that much more efficient.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you for all your input. I think speed is what really matters, and staying aligned and being very clear in your messaging. And so I think it all shows up with some great suggestions there. So Ben, I'm going to direct this one to you. So generative AI, hot topic. Tons
Really?
of
What's that?
Yeah, what is that? So you hear about it all the time. So can you share with the audience what you're seeing and where you think leveraging the partner ecosystem can help capture that moment?
Yeah, what an exciting time. I mean, I think in my 14-ish years at Google, the engagement of the C-suite at our customers is at the highest level that I've ever seen it, right? And outside of sort of the CIO or traditional sort of buying center for Google Cloud. So Gen AI has been a real blessing to the sales organization and the go-to-market organization, hopefully to partners as well. Couple things that I would recommend. It's going to be really easy to overcomplicate things in our brains this year. Is 66 degrees in the room by any chance? Okay. Nobody's here, but that's okay. They're probably out there selling stuff, which I'm okay with. Had a chance to have an agent space pitch meeting with 66 degrees earlier this week. Partner did a great job. Customer was clearly a huge fan of the partner. And so, shout out to 66 Degrees for the work with this particular account. And what was clear after the meeting, it was kind of frustrating in the customer conversation, but after the meeting, I was reflecting on the drive home and really sort of take it as a gift. Our products are pretty confusing right now to the market, right? So the customer was asking questions. Well, what's the difference between Gemini Gems and Agent Builder in Agent Space? And what's the difference between Agent Builder in Agent Space and Agent Builder in Vertex? And what's the difference between this and that? And a lot of brand feedback from the client, which is always appreciated. And it was just a reminder that our focus and I would encourage your focus as our partners should really be externally. Right? It should, we're going to throw a bunch of information, a bunch of enablement. We're probably going to change branding, launch stuff, deprecate stuff. That's just sort of business as usual at Google Cloud. And you do need to allocate some time to being smart on the tech, but that can consume you. And I've seen it happen to Google teams. I've seen it happen to myself over the years. So I would say really, the more that you can get to the customer use case, and worry about the customer use case more than the technology, the odds are the customer use case can be addressed with some sort of generative AI solution from Google. But it starts with the customer use case. And then the second equally important thing is what is the business metric that the customer cares about? And in most cases with Gen AI, it really boils down to three things. Number one, develop a new product or service, grow the top line of the company with Gen AI, right? Number two, improve the back office, operational efficiency, workforce productivity, improve the bottom line for the company. Top line, bottom line. And then the third one is create amazing customer experiences, retain customers, delight them, make them super happy. And that ultimately will benefit both the top and the bottom line. So get to the use case, get to the customer's success metric, because otherwise it's real easy for these conversations to swirl into the Google product roadmap and branding and what does what and what's the difference between different products. And so that's my number one thing at the moment is take what we're giving you, take the pitch decks, those will be ready for you when your customer's ready to talk about it, but get to what matters to your customer first. And odds are Gen AI can play a role in helping them achieve that.
Love that. Love that. Some great sound advice. Really appreciate that, Ben. This is a board level conversation now, so you have a platform to get in there and have those conversations with the customers. And so anything you want to add, Kyle, to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy to get bogged down in the minutia of like, well, my model does this that fast, and your model does this that fast, and just to double down on Bed's point, partners can help us remain laser focused and aligned to a company's business priorities, right? If we're more focused on here's how we're going to solve your specific problem with our technology, I think we're going to be a lot more successful from a Gen AI perspective. So the opportunity is immense, and I think clarity around how the technology addresses the customer's specific business objections, the specific board level objections, and not getting bogged down in the minutia, I think is the way to win.
I'm glad you brought that up. How many of you have seen your customers doing like model comparison bake-offs, right? Like creating their own leaderboards about Gemini 1.5 versus DeepSeek versus whatever. I actually kind of think that that's a stalling tactic. I think a lot of our customers, tech teams, know they want to do stuff with Gen AI. They're getting pressure from the board and their executive leadership to do stuff with AI. A couple of our great partners, BCG and PwC, have published a bunch of research. It's public, you can find it, but it's like these CEO surveys, and don't quote me on the stats, read the material, but it's like 90+% of the C-suite says AI is one of our top 3 priorities. And only like 20% of the C-suite thinks they've made any progress with it at all, like across thousands of large enterprises, right? So when you are talking to a client and they're like, oh, well, let's get into the sort of model performance bake-off, what they're really saying is, I don't know what to do with Gen AI yet, and so this is how I'm spending my time. That's my personal opinion. There's exceptions to that where like, the details really matter. But what I would do is I would sort of challenge your customer and say, okay, like you're creating a leaderboard. That's cool. There's going to be new models coming out in, for the next 10 years, right? So is this a thing you're going to do forever, right? Or what are you really trying to get to here? What's the use case? Yeah. What's the thing that your company cares about, and what are the business metrics you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, I think that's great. It comes down to your point, use case and business outcome, right? Make it relevant. We talked about that earlier. What's going on in their industry? How do you make it relevant? And to what we talked about, that unified stack earlier, the model will change. And as from a price performance perspective, if you leverage the Google unified stack, you can plug models in and out. So anything else you want to add before we move to the next one?
Yeah, so I want to reread part of the question. So where do you think leveraging the partner ecosystem can help us capture the AI opportunity? We cannot capture the AI opportunity without you, okay? I primarily have been working with recently manufacturing companies like telecom, utility, so I don't work with the digital natives. But the companies that I work with in the Gen AI conversations, they all want to talk about it, but probably 7 out of 10 of them don't have any idea what their use case is. They want to be led. And we can lead them, but we need the partners to lead them, right? So if you're a sales rep at a partner and you're like, well, I don't have any stories to tell yet about how I've solved problems with Gen AI use cases, go talk to your teammates, because they want to know, what are people in industries like me, or what's an HR department? What are they doing it for? Yeah, they can go to the web, but it's overwhelming. So they want to be led, and we need the partner system, ecosystem to help us there.
Really appreciate you driving that home, Jesslyn, because I do think it goes back to asserting our leadership and making it customer relevant. And so we need your help there, and so please lean in with us. So I'm going to go to you, Kyle, on this third question here. So, partnering is a strategy and not a function, and we're counting on these partners to help scale our business. Can you give us more insight into your desires to scale the business through and with partners?
Yeah, so I think about the scale in 2 different lenses. There's scale that systems integrators and professional services partners can deliver for us, and then there's scale that our ISV and sell with partners can give us. So I'll start with the first one. We are fortunate to work a book of business where we have 20, 30, 40 workload opportunities at any given point in time within a single account. We do not have the bench internally to go deliver against the upside in our book. We need partners to go help us capture that opportunity. We need partners to help scale our business. And it's not just one singular partner. The partner that's great for database migration may not be the partner to go in and do a Gen AI ideation workshop. So there's going to be diversity of partners in our book, and I am big on helping my team understand. If there's anybody in here that works for me, they're gonna roll their eyes. But I present every time we meet a workload flywheel. This is how we run a deal. This is how we help our customers evaluate a workload within Google. At every point in the flywheel, there's opportunity for partners to get involved in our business. From discovery to production delivery, every point in the process, we need to be working with partners to help scale our business. So from a systems integrator perspective, if we're going to hit our number and capture the upside, we need to work with partners, and we need to work with a diverse set of partners. So multiple partners within the same account is probably going to be a common theme in our book this year. From a from an ISV ecosystem, ISVs help complete the Google Cloud story. ISVs allow us to bring complete solutions to market. I think about the work that we're doing with Sneak, integrating Sneak into SCC and Gemini Code Assist. We are creating a much more complete security solution for our customers, adding a lot of value to them, creating a competitive wedge in those accounts, and scaling and growing our footprint within those accounts from a security perspective. We're about to go through an exercise in a few weeks where we sell into a existing customer book of business. But I want the team to start thinking about that book from a greenfield lens. What are the workloads that we don't currently have in the book that we should be going after? And how are we going to work with partners and SIs to go address those gaps in that book? So I think of the scale from those two lenses, SIs and ISVs, and how we can go to market and create value for our customers with both.
Love that. I really like thinking about, I always talk to the team about new. It could be new customers, but it really is about new workloads.
Yes.
Right? And so we don't scale without you as our partners. I'd like to see if one of you have anything that you want to add here.
I would just add that in working with both kinds of those partners, right, I want to bring them in early, like I mentioned before. And in the beginning with the customer, until they're really comfortable, I want us to all be there together. But then I want to scale by divide and conquer. Okay, partner, now you're rocking and rolling on this workload. I'm going to go hunt over here, and vice versa. Because, like you said, even the big spending accounts, they're greenfield in so many areas. So we're only going to scale if we're both hunting together.
All right, fantastic. So we've covered a lot of ground here today. There's a lot more to come. As we prepare to connect during our guided network session, what would be your ask for the folks in the room here today? Because they're going to have some one-on-one time with you.
My ask would be just let's be realistic on what we can and can't do together. I think we've all been in sessions like this where we talk to a bunch of people, we agree to follow-ups, and then we don't do it. So let's find some real concrete areas where there's one or two accounts and we can give it a go together and then build on that momentum.
Very much agree with Jesslyn, as usual. I think back to my early days at Google Cloud and the early days of our partner ecosystem, and there wasn't a ton of space for partners to play, right? Back then it was, handling contracts and reselling the products, or it was email migrations, or it was a few sort of very specific things that our channel ecosystem did for us. It's the total opposite right now. The world is your oyster. And I would say, if I could give you sort of one request, it's think about what you're really good at as a company. Think about what you're really passionate about, where you see the upside, and don't try to be everything to everyone. Find your area of specialization, your sort of niche or niches that you are really, really good at, because a lot of partner collaboration happens through informal organic mechanisms, right? A Google team says, hey, customer really needs to do this particular type of database migration. If that's your thing that you're really good at and really passionate about, you want to be the first reference, in the Google room when that comes up. So I think it goes to being realistic and not trying to sort of be everything to everyone, but think about the opportunity. You could literally pick any one of 1,000 things, and there's probably a material market opportunity for you out there right now. So it's okay to specialize. It's okay to say, no, we're not good at that thing, but we're really good at this, so call us when this comes up.
I think you build credibility there without a doubt, so that's great. Kyle?
Yeah,
Bring
so
it home.
Three parting thoughts. One, I think the opportunity in particular this year is enormous for us. I think the momentum from a Gen AI perspective, the momentum that we've built together from a cloud go-to-market perspective is huge. Two, come with a perspective. Don't just come to a seller at Google and say, hey, I want to talk about XYZ account. Come with a perspective on how you can help. And that goes for SIs and systems integrators. We get inundated with, hey, get me into this account, get me into this account. Be different and say, here's how I can help you grow consumption in this account. And do actual account planning with the team, understand where the upside is. The first week of March, my team will understand all of the upside in their book. They'll understand where we don't have share of wallet, where we do have share of wallet. Talk to them about that exercise we went through and figure out a way to align to that and how you can help them scale their business. And the third is, don't be afraid to be a leader when we bring you into our accounts. You don't have to follow the lead of the Google field sales rep. You have perspective that maybe we don't have. Feel free to share that perspective. Feel free to offer an opinion. All too often, I feel like partners are sometimes waiting for us to pull them along in the cycle. Don't be afraid to push us too.
That's fantastic. Listen, I think it's been a great discussion. I'm hopeful that all of you stay around so that we can have this guided networking opportunity a little bit later today. I think it's a golden moment for you. There's a great TAM out there, so target addressable market that we have that we want to go win together. And so let's figure out where's the win-win. How do we work better together? So give us feedback. There's things that we can do better as well. So please continue with the feedback. At the end of the day, we're here to, in the words of this panel, we want to make it relevant for our customers. We want to drive the business outcomes. And we can do that at scale only with you as our partners. And so we're going to take a pause for a moment while we take the chairs away, just for a moment, for a minute. And then we're going to start back up with the partner incentives conversation, and then we'll get to the guided networking. So thank you to our panelists. Really appreciate that. Whatever they say. Look up there. You can see the countdown. You don't have 5 minutes.
Many years.
Ready? All right. Welcome back. Great. All right. So excited to jump into our partner incentives discussion. We've got Farragal as well as Nicole to take you through this. And so I'm looking forward to it. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. My name is Fergal O'Higgins. I head the Workspace Partner Incentive Strategy and Design team, part of the broader global partner incentives team. And today I just wanted to, along with my colleague Nicole, walk you through some of our incentive strategy, some of the good work we're doing to give an extra bit of sweetener for partners who engage in all of these wonderful technologies that we've seen over the past couple of hours. Nicole, you can introduce yourself a bit more on your slides. So for 2025, our partner incentives and investment strategy, it's really part of a multi-year transformation as we see it. You'll hear a lot about this almost as much as you'll hear about AI, but you will hear a lot of how we're shifting from a pure transactional partner model to a co-sell and services model. The idea being that, historically partners were key in the transaction, And this is not to say that the transaction will not remain a very important part of a partner's role, depending on the technology and the product. However, we want to push partners both left and right of the transaction to a pre-sales left and to a post-sales right-hand side of the transaction to ultimately bring more value to the customer engagements. That's our overall, or part of our overall partner strategy. And anywhere the partner strategy is going, we will always see partner incentives there to support that strategy. Incentives doesn't necessarily create the strategy, but it is definitely there to support and accelerate that strategy. So part of the multi-year transformation, as we said, it's shifting from co-sell to services. Some of the more traditional partners get alarmed when they hear that. And I just wanted to emphasize that this does not mean the transaction or the ability to transact is going away or the importance of transactions is going away. It's very much remaining. However, on top of that, we want to add more strings to our partners' bows in terms of co-selling, in terms of selling the value, particularly around AI, as we saw today, as well as services that will ultimately guarantee customer success, management, and security through their projects and through their business evolutions. Part of our incentive evolution as well is really to look at the various different Google products as separate motions. It's not necessarily a one size or a one flavor fits all in terms of incentives for different products. So you will see, and we'll talk a bit about it in a few slides' time, how our incentives look with respect to GCP, with respect to security, and of course with respect to Google Workspace as well. Ultimately, we want to use our incentives to invest them in partners, to grow our partners in the areas that we see as most important, where we need partners to be centric to the success of our mutual businesses. So that's the multi-year strategy. Zooming in on 2025, I would say a couple of headline statements. The incentives that we're going to spend and invest in partners in 2025 is greater in terms of monetary value than any of the previous years, let's say. So it's growing, our business is growing, and it's important that we realize that as our business grows, as we go into new areas, again, specifically with AI, we will invest in partners to help partners scale, to help partners transform from traditional partners into these partners of the future that are experts in AI, that understand the customer needs. So effectively, all of the things that we heard in the last few hours, we want partners to be there with us. And incentives essentially help partners to come up to speed there. Ultimately, partner profitability is through the value that they add in the longer term. Incentives, I would say, are not there as a longer term profitability measure, but more so to help partners turn the corner to new technologies, to new customer segments, to new services, and to ultimately more value add. Our incentives will continue to focus on value-added outcomes. So what does that mean? We deeply care about landing new customers, about driving adoption, about driving deployment, about ensuring customer success. So it's no surprise that you will see incentives in all of those corners, helping partners focus on what is important to the customer and ultimately what is important to us and the partners as our mutual business dictates. Last but not least, in terms of 2025 focus, and I would say that this is not just a 2025 focus, this is an ongoing focus. It's core to everything we do in our incentives team, both in terms of design as well as execution, and that is transparency and simplicity. We talked and we saw a lot about AI today, very, very specific details, very technical. And it's our job really to distill that, to simplify that, and to reward partners in a way that is predictable, that is transparent, that your sellers know, your technical sellers know that by doing A in terms of output, they will get B in terms of incentive. And ultimately, the idea then is to do that at scale. To reach more and more customers, to do something repeatable and scalable is key for your business. Again, depending on the segment, depending on the technology. We heard a lot from the panel that we're not asking partners to be all things to all people. Focus on what you feel you are best at. Focus on what is best for your business. And I would say above all else, focus on where the incentives are. Incentives are very intentionally there to help accelerate momentum and to double click on focus on particular opportunities. Again, I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about security. So, we all heard about how AI suddenly came on the scene in 2024. Excuse me, I'm standing in the way. So it's no surprise, really. These bar charts really show how much AI burst onto the scene in our world, as well as everybody else's world in 2024. These are year-over-year growth numbers from investment we made in AI. So, you can see AI is leaps and bounds ahead of all of the other technologies, data analytics, cloud migration, app development. Historically, what was important for customers might have been cost optimization. But, we've heard from so many of our speakers today that AI is in every boardroom. It's on the tip of everybody's tongue. It's on everybody's mind. So we want to bolster that momentum, to accelerate that momentum. And 2024, just as the data shows, really meant that we doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on investment in AI, in both pre-sales lead generation as well as post-sales customer success. And of course, along with the transaction, ultimately that generates the bookings for Google. Not just about AI, we have other products too, of course. We have security that we heard about today, as well as workspace. Our investment in what we call deal acceleration funding, so that's lead generation, pipeline creation, that's increased between 300 and 400% for workspace and security in 2024, and I think that trend is going to continue in 2025. The budget is there. We're keeping the budget we had last year and getting more. So there's a lot of opportunity for partners in the channel, and more than ever in pre-sales as well as post-sales customer success activities. As we said, we're trying to be consistent in terms of how we pay and what we pay for, but at the same time maintain the differentiation and the clear distinction between the products, between the types of activities a partner should fulfill or we would like a partner to fulfill within a product, within a specific customer segment, within a specific customer geography. So with that, we're going to use the next couple of slides to double click on some of the offers that we have across GCP. Nicole will take that, and then I will close out with a summary of what we have for Workspace and SecOps.
Awesome. Thank you, Fergal. Hello, nice to meet everyone. Nicole Zamelin. I've been a program lead across our GCP incentives portfolio. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is that ultimately our incentive stack is not changing, but what we're really thinking about is optimizing the use of our existing funding. You heard about all the go-to-market priorities, how we're telling the AI story. And so it's really about what specific types of engagements do we want to fund? How do we reward partners that are consistently driving those customer outcomes? We also want you to think about optimizing these investments. We've seen partners take an initial DAF or PSF engagement and turn that into a lot of follow-up work funded by the customer. To that end, this right here is a stackable view of our incentives, but I would encourage you to go to Earnings Hub, which is available on Partner Hub. It's also, you can get there through the incentives page on Partner Advantage, and that's really your one-stop shop for seeing historical information on payments that you've received across funds, discounts, credits, and rebates. There's also an earnings potential calculator that allows you to maximize incentives based on the product. And so a lot more innovation happening with Earnings Hub in the future. And so this is just a slide representation of that, but go check it out. So starting with pre-sales, we have the new customer rebate, previously referred to as deal referral or deal reg. And so this is really about sourcing deals. Once you source an opportunity, the FSR needs to accept that opportunity. So make sure you're working closely with the sales teams to understand where you can add value and also articulate how you're adding value. Mid-market enterprise and corporate segments are a great opportunity for the new customer rebate, right? This is really where you can help augment our capacity. Tremendous opportunity in that space. Moving on to DAF, that is our funding for workshops, pilots, and POCs. We've seen incredible use cases for AI there. And with DAF, you can get up to 5% ARR for a maximum of 50K. And on top of that, you can also conduct RAMP assessments. RAMP is our holistic migration program. It offers a lot of tools, prescriptive guidance, and RAMP assessments is a part of that. You'll see on the RAMP page on Partner Advantage, there's a great assessment template with expected deliverables, and you can get an additional 75K for RAMP assessments. Moving on to post-sales, we have PSF. So James talked about the $93 billion backlog that we have. PSF plays a huge role in that. Many of our customers have PSF granted to them as part of their commit deal. And so this is really where partners can help optimize that budget that partners have received, drive customer success, and deliver workloads. We also have post-sales funding available for customers that are still on a pay-go plan. For that, we offer 10% ARR. And then we also have, so moving on from professional services fund, from partner services fund, we have the RAMP acceleration rebate, and this is where we are rewarding growth. And here for service partners, we're looking at quarter-over-quarter growth, and you have to pass a 5% hurdle rate, and then you can get anywhere from 15% to 25%, depending on the SKU. Of course, AI, we offer that 25%. Awesome, cool. Oh, I have to clear. Okay, and then very similar for sell partners, we offer the 5% new customer rebate for year 1 and year 2 of the deal with a 500K max per customer. We also have the partner program discount, which is up to 12%. There are some changes in the space announced for H2 of 2025. In certain geographies, we will not be offering custom quotes any longer, and so more to come on that. And then finally, we have the RAMP acceleration, which was available for service partners as well. Here, for sell partners, there is no 5% hurdle. You start earning with any quarter-over-quarter growth. This is automatic. Nothing required of the sell partners to earn this rebate. So great, easy rebate to earn based on growth. And with that, I'll pass it back over to Fergal.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. So that was for GCP. Similar view for Workspace, and then SecOps on the ultimate slide. So, we've broken these views, as you notice, into 3 distinct sales phases: pre-sales, transact, and post-sales. They're known by different terms, depending on who you talk to, but for simplicity, this is what we're using consistently across our offers. So starting on the left, we have deal acceleration funding. So a common feature, as we saw in GCP, it also exists in Google Workspace and, of course, in security as well. Spoiler alert on the next slide. In the middle, then, we have transact. So partners can earn incentives and monetize in 2 distinct ways through the transaction. First one is through a programmatic discount. This gives a partner a discount from the customer price, which they can then use to maintain a margin up to the partner and how much they maintain and what they may offer to price depending on the bidding. That is a long-standing staple, and for those of you who may be aware, we did some changes to that in 2024 for good reasons, although it was quite a shock, I think, to the system, because for the longest time, we didn't really differentiate between a new customer, a growing customer, or a just recurring customer. So in 2024, we really put the emphasis on new and growth and expansion by reducing the opportunity on recurring and renewing revenue, by consequence, making the opportunity for new and expansion richer. So that is not going to change in 2025. That corner, I think, was turned in 2024, and we are now on a new vector. And it's quite clear that what we value and what we want to get from a partner from the transaction is growth of existing customers and net new logos as well. So in addition to the programmatic discount, we also have transactional rebates, which again focus on those two key outcomes, new customer logos, as well as expansion of existing customers. Some good news with respect to those. We have simplified the way we think about rewarding those. In 2024, there was a certain growth requirement or hurdle rate requirement. We have removed that, which effectively means that partners will earn from the very first dollars of expansion booking in an existing customer, as well as the very first dollars of new logo booking as well from net new customers. That alone sounds like a simple change. I think it's been well received for any of the partners I've talked to so far, but it is good news monetarily speaking. We will end up paying twice the amount dollar-wise on new and expansion bookings, and up to 4 times the number of partners will earn. So we were trying to make it simple, make it predictable. You know, in our world, predictability doesn't necessarily mean maintaining the same number, the same percentage rate. Predictability, you know, as we look at workspace, but also as we look at AI and security, it's not necessarily about the numbers, but it's more about the activity. That you know if you follow what our strategy is, what our partner strategy is, what our product strategy is, you'll be in a very good place to earn or maximize the amount of incentives you can earn. You know, depending on the rates change, revenue grows. We can't necessarily afford to keep the same rate going for a product like AI, let's say, that revenue is increasing exponentially year over year. But the predictability comes in knowing that if you drive the value that we're looking for, from a pre-sales engagement to deal acceleration, pipeline creation, pipeline delivery, post-sales, adoption, customer success, migration, ongoing security monitoring. Those are the things that are predictable, that if you build your business and your strategy around those, A, you should be able to monetize in a very handsome way from the customer themselves, but B, we're here as well with incentives to keep that going, to make sure that there's no doubt that this is the right track for you in terms of scaling your business, in terms of meeting the customer needs, customer demands, both in terms of a service as well as the technology that you're influencing. Lastly, on Workspace, we have the post-sales, which is basically known by a few different names. The official name is the Workspace Adoption Program, also referred to as deployment vouchers, also referred to as, still as its internal project name, Osprey. But ultimately, this is a very lucrative opportunity for partners that manage to bring customers from our competitors to Google Workspace. So there is an opportunity to earn from those scenarios, from rebates, from DAF, but as well as from deployment vouchers, a statement of work-based engagement that you will earn based on the number of seats that are migrating from, let's say, M365 to GWS. So I would encourage all of you to make sure you know where these documents are, where the program overviews are. This is just a very high-level summary that we're looking at right now. But just know where the links are. Again, as Nicole said, a lot of this, or most of this, if not all of this, is available to you on the Partner Advantage website. So I would encourage you, when you have the time, to make sure you're aware of what the opportunities are. I would say, and it's not just because I lead the workspace incentives, but I would say out of all of our incentives, workspace are by far the richest, let's say, in terms of percentages. We're obviously chasing the market there, but I think now maybe with the advent of Gemini technology being embedded in workspace, I think we're definitely one of the leaders on technology. So I'm bullish about the growth of workspace. Incentives are there to help, and I'd love to hear from you directly, let's say in the networking afterwards this afternoon, what the reality is. We have an opinion. Our team has an opinion. What we don't have enough of is, reality from the ground, feet on the ground, how it really works, what the real blockers are. So I would really love, and I will be all ears for any feedback, good, bad, or indifferent, that you have for me today. So that's workspace. And then lastly, but not least, we have security. Again, similar format of the slide. We're working through pre-sales, transact, and post-sales. The good news, I think, for security is again, predictability, we're not changing the model from 24 to 25. You have deal acceleration funding, as you do with all of the other products, 5% of annual run rate. There's a programmatic discount for partners. There's a deal registration discount, again, all focused on prioritizing our incentive dollars for specific outcomes that we want to drive. And again, that those are one or maybe two at most, which is growth. Growth from new customers, growth within existing customers through expansion. We also have PSF, Partner Services Funds, to ensure there's focus and output and outcome and success through customer success motions. As well as growth, then we have a quarter-over-quarter growth as well. So again, I would ask if you do one thing today, just make sure you know where the official program guides, where the legal offers are. We have a lot of opportunity to do things in a more simple, predictable, transparent way. We know that. It's a lot easier said than done, but that is one of the missions that we're on. So as we try to maintain speed with the changing technology, catching up with AI and trying to be there at the forefront to support and reward and accelerate those type of motions, we're also at the same time trying to maintain simplicity. So there's a very fine line, I think, between simplicity and precision, and that's the line that we need to tread. And it's our job. So we need to do better, we can do better, and predictability, transparency is a very good motivator. Knowing what you did and what you earned from that is very important for you wanting to do more and more of that again and again at greater scale in different customer segments with different technologies as well. So yeah, we have a lot of work ahead of us, but again, it's work for you to make sure that you know what the opportunities are from an incentives perspective, and you know the technology, you know the business, you know the customer channel. Don't forget about us in incentives. We are here to bolster and to expedite, let's say, your success. So help us help you do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Fergal. Listen, what a great opportunity. We've got all these incentives. Let's make sure we use them. Let's use them wisely. Let's accelerate the customer journey, if you will. And so anyway, we're almost to the end of the day, but we're not quite, so I'm going to skip this slide, but I want to go to a couple things that I think are super important. We talked about industry first. So my team, actually our industry co-sell team, is actually leading these industry enablement co-sell events. And what these are is we've got my industry co-sell folks along with the sales leaders. So for in retail, you'll have Jose or one of the other leaders in the other industries, if you will. And we're doing these events to help align our partners, you, to what are our sales motions, specifically in that industry. And so I would encourage you to attend one of these if you have sellers that are selling in these industries. This really helps us get super aligned so that we actually can accelerate driving those business outcomes for our customers. And so we have one in retail. We actually have one in CPG as well. Those are both under the retail umbrella. We have one in our TMEG group, or Telco, Media, and Entertainment and Gaming, if you don't know what that acronym is. And then also in healthcare, life sciences, and then in financial services and insurance. So I would encourage you to, these will be you can register for these events. Again, you're going to get this material. Register to attend. You can attend it virtually. They're not going to be in person, but they will be virtual sessions. Again, great content, helps you get super aligned with the field sales teams and selling in the same motion that they're selling. Oh, one last thing. So in retail, we've got Jordan Serlin. If you're not familiar with Jordan, if you have questions about it, you can either get a hold of Jordan or you can come to me and I'll get you connected with Jordan. In CPG, it's Amber Aguilar on my team. You can either get with Amber if you have her contact, or you can get with me and I'm happy to direct you. TMEG, it's Frank Rhodes. It's part of my team as well. Sue Griffin in financial services and insurance, and then Alvaro Alvarez on healthcare, life sciences. Now, it wouldn't be a Google event if we didn't have swag. We do have swag, but you'll have to get this QR code and fill out the survey. And if you do that, you'll get some great Google swag. So please do that. And I'm going to actually, I'll bring back this slide, but I want to close it out, and I'll bring back this slide if you didn't get this picture. I want to thank our sponsors one more time. Couldn't do this without our sponsors. super appreciative of the sponsors leaning in here. Again, Pythian, Deloitte, Slalom, Quantify, 66 Degrees, CDW, and PwC. So anyway, one thing I want you to leave with today. I am extremely bullish about our opportunity together. And so let's go get after it together. And I want to thank the audience online as well. And I'm looking forward to the guided network, which will be in the foyer out here outside these doors immediately following. So I'll bring back the swag slide so you can get a picture of that. And again, I look forward to catching up with you in person outside of these events. So thank you for a great day. Safe travels home, and have a great week.
Something inside that I can't ignore. Oh, I feel it tonight. That look in your eyes.